Welcome to Breakfast with Spaniels with Dr. Judy Morgan. Remember, you can purchase all of Dr. Morgan's products at her website at www.drjudymorgan.com. Now it's time to sit back, relax, and enjoy the show.
Hello again, everyone who's tuned in for the second time today. Thanks for joining us again, especially middle of the day. For some of you, it's morning. For us, it just turned over to afternoon. So good morning, afternoon, evening if you're overseas. Today, we are really, really fortunate to have special guests. And I want to thank our friends from Cocotherapy, Carmina and Carissa, for putting this together for us, because it's not that often that we can find someone who is such an expert in this field to come on and be so gracious with his time. So I want to introduce Dr. Bruce Fife, who is director of the Coconut Research Center. Who knew there was such a thing? But we need that. So Dr. Bruce Fife, NDCN, is an author, speaker, naturopathic physician, and certified nutritionist. He has dedicated his life to the study of lipids and coconut oil. Lipids are fats, for those of you who are not aware. And he's written over 20 published books, hundreds of articles, and has reviewed hundreds of scientific and medical research studies related to fats, coconut oil, and its effects on humans and animals. He's the publisher and editor of the Healthy Ways newsletter and serves as the president of the Coconut Research Center, which is a nonprofit organization whose purpose is to educate the public and medical community about the health and nutritional aspects of coconut and related foods. Dr. Fife is considered one of the world's leading experts on the health aspects of dietary fats and oils. He's a popular speaker and travels throughout the world lecturing at universities, trade shows, conferences, hospitals, and spas. And he's appeared on hundreds of radio and television programs worldwide. But I don't think that Dr. Fife has been involved in that many interviews in the pet space. So we are really honored. Dr. Fife, thank you so much for agreeing to do this with us today.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
So, first of all, why coconut oil? I mean, that's a pretty niche field. So how did you get started in this? Why are you in love with coconut oil? What made you want to make that your life's work?
Well, years and years ago, I believed that coconut oil was a bad saturated fat. Back then, saturated fats had a bad reputation, and coconut oil was very highly saturated. I was taught, in school and in books, the media all proclaimed saturated fats were bad. So coconut oil, in my opinion, was bad. I didn't know any better until I was talking to one of my colleagues, and she said that coconut oil was actually one of the good fats, and that it didn't cause heart disease, and it had a lot of health benefits. And that shocked me to hear such a thing. But she backed up her statement by citing some studies and some benefits, and it got me to thinking, is there more to coconut oil than I know about? So I wanted to investigate this. So back then, this was in the late 90s, so it's, quite a while ago. There wasn't really much written about coconut oil back then. And so I wanted to find a source that would give me the truth, the facts. And so I went to the medical studies and I looked up what researchers were actually learning about coconut oil. And I found hundreds of studies and I started reading through them and I was amazed. I found benefit after benefit after benefit with coconut oil. I also learned there wasn't any truth behind the idea that coconut oil promoted heart disease. It did just the opposite. It could help protect you from heart disease. I began recommending it to clients and friends, and I've seen it clear up hemorrhoids, stop bladder infections, clear up cancerous lesions, and many other things. And I realized, here's this wonderful food that nobody except those people doing the research know about. And so that inspired me to write my first book on coconut oil called The Coconut Oil Miracle. And that was published in 2000. So 20 years ago. It's gone through 5 editions now. And since then, I've continued to research and publish books about coconut and related topics, including the book Coconut Therapy for Pets.
Awesome. So, and I is that the one that 5 of them are going to be given away today to people that are watching, ladies?
Yes.
Yeah.
So
okay.
Ask questions, make comments. We'll give them away 5 for free.
Okay. So there's an interesting question. Somebody said, what about the coconut meat? If we are, this is what I know about coconuts. I know that we extract or press the oils. We have the coconut meat, and I assume that's what's made into the coconut chips. And then we also have the coconut milk. So Bruce, are there benefits to all of those parts and pieces? Is the whole better than the individual parts? And are there differences in how we get that oil out of the coconut?
Yes, to all of that. So the coconut meat is where we get the oil. So they take the meat and they crush it, and what comes out of it is the oil. And so that's very basic how they get the oil. Coconut milk, coconut milk's done pretty much the same way. Is they crush the meat, and the juice that comes out is technically the coconut milk. It's not the liquid inside the coconut. That's called coconut water. And coconut water is totally different than coconut milk. But when they crush the meat and they get the coconut milk, then they process the coconut milk to extract the coconut oil. And there's various ways you can do that. The simplest way is just to let it sit, and the coconut oil separates by itself because it's lighter than water. It floats to the top, and you can basically scoop it off the top. But you can put it in a centrifuge or do various other ways to get the coconut oil. So if you eat coconut meat, you are benefiting by getting the coconut oil that way. You also get a lot of healthy fiber that's naturally in the coconut. Coconut meat is very helpful because it's very high in fiber and low in sugar and carbs. And so you get the fiber and the coconut oil. So yes, the coconut chips and the meat is good too.
Now, Bruce, and a follow-up question from the first one. Why coconut oil as opposed to other fats?
Well, coconut oil is distinctly different from other fats. And the reason is the fatty acids. The fatty acids are the molecules that make up fats. And there's different types of fatty acids. And you can put them into 3 basic categories depending on their size or the length of their carbon chain. And so you have like long chain fatty acids, medium chain fatty acids, and short chain fatty acids. And the vast majority of the fats and oils in our typical diet are composed of long chain fatty acids. In fact, I would say 95 to 100% of the fats that we eat are composed of long chain fatty acids, unless you eat a lot of coconut, because coconut oil is composed of predominantly the medium chain fatty acids. And it's the medium chain fatty acids in the coconut that gives it most of its health and healing properties.
So this is not about coconut oil, but I'm just trying to do a comparison in my own head. If we're talking about animal fats like butter, cream, those sorts of things versus plant fats like flaxseed oil or sunflower oil, do those on both sides, both the animal fats and those other vegetable fats, are they mostly long chain?
Yes, predominantly. The only other fat really, besides coconut oil, and palm kernel oil also has a high percentage of medium chain fatty acids, is butter. So butter has about 12% medium and short chain fatty acids. So this is why even human breast milk contains medium chain fatty acids.
Okay. I'm learning a lot. This is very cool. All right. So I don't know which direction to go next, but I'm going to ask a question. We've recently talked about the differences between lauric acid and caprylic acid. And I don't know if there are other acids that are in the coconut oil, but those two we've talked about kind of individually. What are some of the differences, and why would you use one versus another if you were buying just a specific an item that was higher in caprylic acid versus a coconut product that was higher in lauric acid?
Yeah, there are some oils available that focus on the medium chain fatty acids. Now, coconut oil isn't 100% medium chain fatty acids. It's 63%.
Okay.
You can buy medium chain fatty acid or MCT oil, which is 100% medium chain fatty acids. There are 4 medium chain fatty acids in coconut oil. And I like that because they're all just a little slightly different, but they all are digested and processed in the body in the same way, and which is unique from the long chain fatty acids. And they all have health benefits. And having them all together works synergistically together for their benefit. One fantastic benefit of the medium chain fatty acids is they are antimicrobial. So they can kill viruses, bacteria, fungi, and some parasites. And each fatty acid has a little bit different effect on different microbes. Lauric acid has the strongest antimicrobial power.
Okay.
In fact, they've used lauric acid as an antimicrobial in certain medications because of that. But when they combine together, it just makes the antimicrobial power even that more effective. And talk about maybe just a minute about digestion. That's one of the great things about it. And that's one of the reasons why it's in human milk, in fact, in all animal milk, has medium chain fatty acids, is that they will kill harmful gut bacteria. But the great thing about it, it does not harm the good bacteria. So it helps establish in an infant a proper microbiome when they're first starting off in life. And in fact, and for adults, it's good too, because it helps reestablish that good, healthy microbiome.
Yeah, absolutely beneficial. I can tell you from personal experience, when I had a lot of dysbiosis going on in my system, everything really out of whack, when I went to my naturopath, one of the first things he said was, I want you to eat a teaspoon of high quality organic coconut oil twice a day, at least, because it's going to help take care of the overgrowth of the bad stuff that's going on inside my gut, and also help promote the good bacteria that we want going on in our bowels, so that we're building our immune system. And it's interesting, right before we came on air, my friends at Cocotherapy said, hey, we never asked you about the TCM properties of coconut oil. And I said, well, I'm pretty sure it's a yang tonic and it's warming, but I checked and I'm right. And one of the reasons it works so well, so for those of you who have animals who are really hot, don't worry about giving them coconut oil, because our gut, the spleen system, stomach and spleen, the earth system, earth personality, we need warming in the bowel, because the bowel does not like cold and damp, and the coconut oil is very good at warming up that digestive function and helping it function better. And that, along with helping rebalance the biome, is why it works so well. So thanks for that, Bruce.
You bet. One more thing with particular interest to pet owners is that because of the antimicrobial and anti-parasitic effects of coconut, it can help expel parasites in the digestive tract. And I get pet owners contacting me. Oh, I gave my dog or my cat coconut oil, and all these worms came out.
Yay! Well, and it actually is a wonderful flea repellent. So if you feed it or apply it topically, it works pretty darn well at repelling fleas. So it has a ton of natural uses. Okay, so let's talk about some of the studies that have been done on animals for different uses. And then maybe we can try to figure out how we might use this for our pets. So there was a study done on beagles that showed it helped reverse cognitive decline in dogs. How does that work? For years, we've been talking about using omega-3 fish oils for brain health, heart health. How does the coconut oil help with that? And would we want to use it in conjunction with omega-3s if we have pets with cognitive decline or seniors that we're worried about trying to prevent that?
So the medium chain fatty acids in coconut oil, when they're digested, some of them are going to be used up immediately for energy and such, but a large portion of them are converted immediately into ketones. And ketones are another form of energy that the body uses. And the brain loves ketones. In fact, the brain runs on glucose and ketones. When our blood is low in glucose, then it needs the ketones. And coconut oil provides a ready dietary source of ketones. Normally, ketones are made from body fat. The body emulsifies the body fat, and it will turn some of that into ketones when blood glucose levels are low. So if you don't eat carbs, which turns into glucose, then your body needs some type of energy, so it starts using its fat for storage. And some of that will be turned into ketones. And because the brain needs either glucose or ketones, when the blood glucose goes down, it's going to need the ketones. So the ketones go in and supply the brain the energy that it needs. In cognitive, such as Alzheimer's and other dementia, one of the problems is that the brain becomes kind of resistant and is unable to effectively absorb glucose. And so it's basically starving for energy. And because of that, it begins to degenerate. And then cognitive ability declines, memory declines. But ketones bypass this defect and provides the cells, the brain cells, with the energy that it needs to function normally. So if there is enough ketones available, then the brain can work normally and even heal itself. So people with dementia, dogs with dementia, animals with dementia, if they can use coconut oil or a ketogenic diet, they are getting the ketones that the brain needs to be healthy.
Wow. Okay. I'm going to eat more coconut oil.
And I just want to add, Judy, in the Philippines, there's a very low incidence of dementia or Alzheimer's, especially for the ones who eat a lot of coconut oil. And I just didn't know this. And no wonder, now understanding coconut oil, I can see why. My grandmother was sharp as a whip to the end.
So are we better for cognitive decline, for those of us worried about dementia, Alzheimer's, can't remember what I was doing in the middle of a sentence, are we better to eat the whole coconut oil, or should we be focusing on MCT oil? Is one better than the other? Should we be eating both?
There's a little bit of controversy with this because some people sell a product and they kind of promote a product. So there's an idea that one is better than the other. I actually prefer coconut oil over MCT oils or any of the other products that are available. And again, because the MCT oil and some of these other oils focus on just one fatty acid or two fatty acids and skip all the rest. And usually they skip lauric acid, which is one of the most important medium chain fatty acids they can have. But coconut oil has that. And as I mentioned, they work synergistically together. And some of the shorter chain fatty acids can boost ketone levels higher, but they go out of the body quicker. So you'd only have maybe 2 hours worth of ketone levels. But with coconut oil, because of the lauric acid, when you eat coconut oil, your ketone levels rise and remain elevated for 8 hours. So you have a longer period of ketosis as opposed to the other ones. Even though they may rise at a little bit higher, you don't necessarily have to have it astronomically high. Just an elevated level to provide the brain with those extra ketones that it needs to work with. So in my opinion, coconut oil is better for the brain.
Okay. Well, good. I got to eat more coconut oil. I'm pretty good about it, but lately I've backed off a little bit and I got to pick it back up. I do say it makes me feel better. Okay. So now that we kind of mentioned the ketogenic diet, let's talk about that. Can you give us a brief explanation of what a ketogenic diet is?
Sure. Ketogenic diet is one that is very low in carbohydrates, high in fat with a moderate amount of protein. The purpose of going on a ketogenic diet is to get into ketosis. And this ketosis is a state in which your body is burning ketones. So when you're going to a ketogenic diet with low carbohydrates, your blood glucose levels are going to be low. And so to supply the energy that the body and the brain needs, stored fat comes out and is used for energy. And some of this fat is converted into ketones. And as I mentioned earlier, the brain needs either glucose or ketones. It can't function on lipids or fats. It needs either glucose or ketones. And so this is one of the reasons why the body converts fat or fatty acids into ketones, is to supply that energy to the brain.
Makes sense. So to get that high fat level in a keto diet, what are the best fats to be using?
Well, saturated fats are good, but the absolute best fat would be coconut oil. And the reason for this is because coconut oil is the only oil that is naturally ketogenic. So most of the ketones that our bodies produce is from stored body fat. But coconut oil provides a dietary source of them, because when you eat them, the medium chain fatty acids will be converted into ketones. And what the really interesting thing about this is that the body, the liver, will convert the medium chain fatty acids into ketones regardless of your blood glucose levels or what other foods that are in your diet. So you can get these healthy ketones into the bloodstream and into the brain, even though you're eating carbs.
Okay. So there's a lot of controversy about pets with pancreatitis, dogs or cats, or people even, being able to eat any fats in their diet. And I get this question a lot, and I get really upset because people are told by their traditional veterinarians that if they have a pet who has had a bout of pancreatitis, they want them on a kind of a zero fat diet, and people really go crazy. And what happens is their animals start to fall apart. The coats get dry and flaky. They're dull. Their mentation is dull. Their mobility is worse because they're trying to achieve a zero fat diet, which is so unhealthy. But sometimes we have a hard time finding, and really it's a matter of inflammation with pancreatitis, not really a matter of high fat, but it's hard to convince people that it's safe to use some fats in their pet's diet. Me personally, I feel like coconut oil is the safest fat that we can introduce back in early in the game. What is your feeling on that, and why is coconut oil safer?
Yeah, I agree with you. Animals, people, we need fats in our diet. A zero fat or a very low fat diet can cause a lot of health problems, and you need to stay away from it. You need some fat, and coconut oil would be the best fat to choose for this type of thing. And one of the great things about coconut oil is it has antioxidant properties, and if it produces the ketones, which it does, and if you go a step farther and go into ketosis, well, this stimulates the production of antioxidants, as well as it's also anti-inflammatory. Coconut oil studies have shown it's anti-inflammatory. The ketogenic diet is anti-inflammatory. Ketones are anti-inflammatory. So if your pancreas is inflamed, you want something that's anti-inflammatory that will help lower that. In fact, coconut oil is essentially can be considered a pancreas tonic. People and the ketogenic diet too, because it can help the pancreas, rejuvenate the pancreas. I mean, I've seen studies where they've put animal studies where they were on a low calorie ketogenic diet. And these animals were type 1 diabetics, so their insulin beta cells weren't producing insulin. After they went on this diet, the pancreas was rejuvenated and restored the beta cells, so they started producing insulin, and they were no longer diabetic.
Wow, that's a pretty good study. All right, so some of my diabetic pets, I'm going to start throwing some more coconut oil at them. Some of these guys we have a hard time regulating, and I'm all on for something that might help. Is there a situation where a person or an animal should not be put on a ketogenic diet?
I don't know of any, unless there's some weird genetic problem where they shouldn't, but I don't know of any.
Okay.
The ketogenic diet is something, ketosis. That's when the body's using ketones and fat more than glucose to provide its energy. People and animals have been using or being into ketosis throughout all of history. It's not something that's new or invented.
Right.
We go into ketosis anytime we start going into ketosis anytime we skip a couple of meals, or we stop eating carbohydrates or cut the carbohydrate down. Then our body starts going into ketosis, and the longer we're away from carbohydrates, the more ketones we eat. And so for people, example, people during times of winter in the past, during times of famine and droughts, they had times where they didn't have enough food, particularly carbohydrate foods. And so they went into low calorie or total fasting. During these times, they were in ketosis. And then when food was available, they came out of ketosis. Animals do the same thing. For like a lion, a lion will go out, it'll have an animal, it'll eat it, it'll have food for a couple of days, and then it's got to go hunting again. During that time, it's fasting. It goes into ketosis. And so it's a regular cycle of life that we have been doing forever.
So would it be more beneficial, or is it healthier for an animal or person to be in ketosis all the time? Or is it something that we should, even in the wild, as you pointed out with the lion, he's going to have this big meal, so he's going to have this influx of energy, and then he's going to go into ketosis. Is that kind of how we should be treating our pets and ourselves where we cycle in and out, or would we be better off keeping them in ketosis all the time?
Yes, a lot of people hear about ketosis or ketogenic diet, and they say, "Oh, see all these benefits," and so they jump on it and they think it's something they need to stick on for the rest of their life. But it's hard to stick to that for the rest of your life. Plus, it's not as effective as if you cycle in and out of it. So go on the ketogenic diet for a while, a month, a couple weeks, 2 months, 3 months, whatever, and then cycle back into a normal, healthy diet, and then cycle back into it. Because that's what we were doing throughout history. We cycled in and out of ketosis, and that's the healthiest way to do it.
Okay. A couple questions that I saw come up, and I will give my answer to them, and then if your answer is different, you can let me know, and I'll rework what I said. So 2 questions. Somebody said, is it okay for pets with GI disease, leaky gut, and kidney disease? My feeling would be, for me, I was using it to treat my leaky gut, and I thought it was amazing. And for kidney disease, what we're looking for is something that is anti-inflammatory. And yes, when you have pets that are getting into more advanced kidney disease, their amylase levels are going to go up because that is cleared by the kidneys. It doesn't mean they have pancreatitis. It just means that they have kidney disease. In my feeling, coconut oil would be perfect for these animals because it's a healthy source of calories for them that is going to be readily utilized and is also anti-inflammatory. Did I get that right, or am I way off base?
You're right on base. And I just want to add that also the cells lining our digestive tract, they love medium chain fatty acids. And if you supply them with medium chain fatty acids, these cells will absorb the medium chain fatty acids straight through into the cell to produce energy, which will stimulate their health and their growth, which will improve digestive function just because of the health of the cells, and the digestive tract will be healthier.
Absolutely.
Now, I have a quick question too, Dr. Fife, because, and Dr. Morgan, you also heard about this. There is an argument that coconut oil causes, and because we're in the whole digestive topic, that coconut oil causes metabolic endotoxemia. And we've talked about this briefly. But if you can just quickly explain why they don't have to be afraid of it. Yeah.
All right. Yes. So when we have bacteria in our digestive tract, unhealthy bacteria, coconut oil or the medium chain fatty acids can attack those and kill them. Okay. Basically, the medium chain fatty acids cause the bacteria to disintegrate. Okay, some of these particles are small enough that they will actually pass through the intestines and go into the blood. So you've got these bacteria fragments that go into the blood, which will cause a mild immune reaction. This is what they're talking about. So they're saying, well, coconut oil is bad because it causes this immune reaction. Now, remember, these are dead pieces of bacteria. What it's really doing is training the immune system to attack a foreign body and get rid of it without the threat of an actual infection. Keep in mind that the medium chain fatty acids that they're saying are so horrible and bad because they cause this are found in human breast milk. It's found in the milk of all other animals. So why would nature, put these medium chain fatty acids into milk if it's going to cause an infection and all that?
Makes perfect sense to me. One more. I have another dog question, but I saw a couple people asked about oil pulling, and it is something that my naturopath talked about, where you basically take a glob of coconut oil and you pull it through your teeth and swish it around in your mouth for a good 5 minutes. My understanding is that because it kills the not so friendly bacteria and helps repopulate the good guys, it works really well to help clean our mouth and keep our teeth from developing as much plaque and tartar, periodontal disease, all that sort of thing. Me personally, there's something about that texture. I can eat the coconut oil. I cannot pull it. Hugh can. So is it safe to do that? Is it recommended to do that? Are you a fan of it?
I'm a very good fan of it. I even wrote a book about it.
Okay. I just got to get over the texture thing. I don't know.
Well, think of the texture when you put a spoonful of coconut oil in your mouth. Think of it as the same texture as some chocolate. The texture and the taste is a little bit different, but coconut tastes good too. And then
I love the taste. It's a texture thing, and I don't like chocolate, so I'm not going to use that analogy. And there was another question about how heat affects coconut oil. So I actually, in the morning, my spoonful of coconut oil goes into my coffee, and I really enjoy my coffee that way. When we ship the jars of Cocotherapy coconut oil, particularly this time of year, it arrives as a liquid and people get kind of freaked out. And I tell them, well, just stick it in your fridge. It'll immediately become a solid again. Somehow they want me to ship it on ice so it does not become a liquid. I'm like, I'm pretty sure that it just really doesn't change the goodness in the coconut oil. So tell me if I'm right or wrong. Does heating change it a lot?
That's an interesting question. And basic answer is no, because every oil that we eat has a melting point. Coconut oil's melting point is at 75 degrees. Now, olive oil has a melting point too. If you put olive oil into the refrigerator, it becomes solid. The same thing will happen with other oils. If you take any vegetable oil, some of these vegetables have a very low melting point, so you almost have to go to, to zero or something to get them to solidify, but they will too. And so this process of liquid and solid is not just like water, so you shouldn't be afraid of drinking water because it freezes.
Right.
The same way with the coconut oil, it doesn't harm it at all.
Great. Good to know. So people are saying, how can I give coconut oil to my cat? He isn't interested in it. Should I mix it with his raw food? You can certainly try. Cats are a whole different species. They are very particular about what they like and don't like, and they will just turn their nose up and walk away. I think it's very good for them, but that doesn't mean you're going to convince them. One thing you might try is smear a little coconut oil on their paw, because I guarantee they are going to want to lick it off. And they also really tend to like the coconut chips, or you guys, Cocotherapy has the hairball formula, which is basically shredded coconut. And so a lot of people will mix that in with the food to get it in. Okay, so I have another research question, another topic. New research shows that MCTs in coconut oil reduce seizure frequency in dogs by 50%. How does coconut oil mitigate seizures, and how do we know how much to give them for it to be effective? Is there a dose? Do we know?
Well, I mentioned that the ketones from the coconut oil or from the medium chain fatty acid will go to the brain, and they provide energy to the brain, helpful energy to the brain, which helps the cells function normally. Another very important thing that ketones do is they stimulate the production of brain-derived neurotrophic factors. These are special proteins in the brain that are involved in maintaining or reducing inflammation, maintaining health of the cells, and in growth and in development, and even the production of new brain cells. And so when you have these brain-derived neurotrophic factors, they are healing the brain. So a brain that is troubled with epilepsy has some defect in the brain, and these neurotrophic factors correct that defect and can reduce or eliminate the seizures.
It's amazing. Okay. So somebody says her golden is having a wicked allergy flare up. It started putting Cocotherapy in her food and she's much less itchy. Well, it makes perfect sense if it's antioxidant and anti-inflammatory plus killing off any yeast, bacteria, whatever we've got going on. What is, somebody said they just found a jar of coconut oil in the back of their pantry that's quite a few years old. What's the shelf life on coconut oil?
A good quality coconut oil should stay good for a couple of years.
Okay.
The way to test it is to taste it. If it tastes nasty, don't use it. Another clue is sometimes it may not taste particularly nasty, but it'll give a burning in your throat. If it burns your throat, it means it's oxidized, too much, and get rid of that too.
Great. I was just going to ask you if coconut oil oxidizes like other oils, and you just answered that. So that was easy. Thank you. Okay. Did you ladies see questions that we need to? Somebody just posted something.
Yeah, I actually have a question back to the ketogenic diet, because there's a lot, those forums on Facebook for keto pets and cancer. There's a lot of talk about ketogenic diets with cancer patients. So, Dr. Fife, can you explain how ketogenic diets help, prevent cancer, or not prevent, or help mitigate the tumors? Can you go into that, ketogenic diet and cancers?
Sure. Cancer feeds on sugar. It needs sugar to live. It cannot use fats and it can't use ketones for energy. It needs glucose. So on a ketogenic diet, when you're eating very little carbohydrate, your body has very little glucose to supply that energy to the cancer. And so the cancer actually begins to starve for energy. In addition to that, ketones have a very interesting effect in that they upregulate certain genes that are anti-cancerous, and they downregulate genes that promote cancer. And so they help the body fight cancer. So you're starving the cancer and fighting the cancer with a ketogenic diet.
Great.
And I just want to comment real quick, Judy. My Yorkie before had thyroid cancer. So we did take the tumor out, but there was already some cellular invasion when they checked. And they did want to do chemotherapy on her. And that was the one thing I didn't want to. She's 4 pounds. She had PLE. She had a host of other issues. And chemo was the last thing I wanted to do on her. So what I did was I eased her into more of a keto diet for that, just to control it. And for pet owners out there, we've been asked the question, like, what's the typical keto ratio for pets? So usually they say, and a lot of the keto pages, you get about 82 for animals. 82% of calories come from fat, they say, and about roughly 17% calories from animal-based protein and 1% carbs. Now that's very strict for a lot of dogs. And so what I did was I eased Camille a little bit into that, because if you do go on a keto diet, the animal may lose a little bit of weight because it's very carb restricted. So I stuck to about 70 to 80% calories of fat for her, and about 25, 30% carbs, and about protein and 3% carbs. And she did really well. I mean, she didn't have to go on the chemo, I'm so happy to say, and her tumors didn't come back. I think people freak out when you're giving a higher, like 82% calories from fat and 17% of protein. So they're freaking out because they're like, dogs are carnivores. Why are you giving a higher ratio of fat than protein? Animals should have more protein than fat. So it's very scary for people to put animals on ketogenic diet. But the funny thing is, I don't know if you've heard of Dr. Mark Morris. He is a PhD wildlife biologist. He was actually the doctor that coined the term biologically appropriate diet for dogs. He coined that in our pet industry world. And he actually did a study where he had two groups of dogs, wild wolves and domestic dogs. And he let them forage and eat whatever they want. He had fats, protein, and carbs. So with these two groups of dogs, he let them forage and eat whatever they wanted. And he found out that both groups of animals, the wild wolves and the dogs, actually went straight for the fat. They ate as much fat as they could until it like nourished and fed their brains. And then they went for the protein. And so that was his study. And then lastly, they went for the carbs, less than 10% of carbs. So it's just, I think we're so used to thinking of animals as carnivores and eating meat, and everybody wants to do the low fat. It's just something we've been ingrained as humans to go on a low fat diet, and fats are bad for you. But in his study, he found out that these animals first went to the fat, straight to the fat first, and ate that first and gorged on it before moving to protein. So that was an interesting study.
Even for people, healthy fats are very good for us. I mean, if I'm starving, I'm going to go eat an avocado before I'm going to go eat crackers, because that avocado is going to stay with me a lot longer than high carb crackers that are basically air and glucose. I get a sugar high and then it disappears. So it makes a huge difference. And I think the same with our animals. Now, one question that's been coming up a lot, is there a dosing? Do we have, and by the way, you're going keto with your little 4-pound Yorkie. There's proof that you can put a Yorkies are highly prone to pancreatitis. And you took that dog and put it on a 75% fat diet, and pancreatitis was not the issue. And it's because it's a raw fat versus a cooked fat has a lot to do with it, because it's not oxidized. But people really, I think a lot of people want to add coconut oil to their pets' diets, but they really struggle with, whether they're using the whole coconut oil or the MCT oil. Is there a guideline dosing anywhere? Do we dose to effect? Do we dose to diarrhea? Where do we go with that?
Well, you can go ahead, Bruce. Go ahead.
I was going to say, as a rule of thumb, I would recommend 1 teaspoon for every 10 pounds of body weight for just a maintenance level. For an animal that is having some health issues, dementia, seizures and stuff, then I would double, triple, or quadruple that.
Wow.
Yeah, and we've had dogs that have been on because they're so used to coconut oil. But obviously, if your dog has never had that much fat or coconut oil, then obviously you would start slow and then build up to that dose. And we always say maximum oral tolerance. So you watch it. With my 2 Yorkies, they were both 4 pounds. One could take a lot more oil than the other one. And you can tell their coat gets greasy or their stool gets a little bit softer. So, just watch it. And also for animals that are that have pancreatitis, for example, or extremely lipid sensitive, because we've had dog owners tell us that my dog just cannot tolerate virgin coconut oil, which is also our preference. We always prefer that because the lauric acid, it's more of a whole food. For animals that cannot tolerate that at all, but they really want to give their dogs the coconut oil, we found that they have been successful with the MCT oils only because it's got more medium chain as opposed to the longer chain fatty acids. And our MCT oil does have lauric acid in it. So they're still getting that helpful lauric acid. Yeah.
Okay. If they don't tolerate the oil, even the MCT oil, like we have one that she is prone to loose stools because of her heart medications. What we found is the coconut chips are the solution for her. It's been just an amazing benefit for her.
Yeah. Good point. Yep.
Okay. Somebody says if we're using double, triple, quadruple dosing for health issues, is it going to cause weight gain? I mean, what's our calorie content in coconut oil?
Well, the calorie content is just slightly less than other fats, but there's not that big of a difference. One of the great things about the medium chain fatty acids is they actually stimulate the metabolism. So metabolism increases, and as metabolism increases, then people and animals burn off more calories. And so there really isn't an issue with weight gain unless it's some unbelievable amount. The weight gain actually comes from what's added with the coconut oil. So if the coconut oil is added with a high carbohydrate, then that's the more of a potential to gain weight.
Okay. All right. Ladies, do you have any questions that we didn't cover? Or Bruce, do you have topics we didn't cover? This has been amazing information.
Just real quick on the keto diet, one thing I've heard of, especially for me, because I do go on the intermittent keto cycling, people say keto diets are not good because of ketoacidosis. And I do know they measure that for dogs too with kidney disease. And I know there's a difference, but can you explain to people why they don't have to worry about ketoacidosis?
So ketoacidosis is a metabolic disease or a consequence of a metabolic disease. And that's when the ketone levels get way too high that it causes the blood to become acidic, acidosis. But on a ketogenic diet, you don't come anywhere close to those levels. Even if on a pure fast, where your body's pumping out the greatest amount of ketones, you still don't come anywhere near that level. So there's no threat with that.
Great. Okay. Well, I thank all of you, ladies, Dr. Fife, for all this great information. This will stay posted on my Facebook page. It will also be on the Cocotherapy Facebook page. So for those of you who are watching and your friends didn't get to see it, you can share it. You can get them to, send them to our pages to watch. And direct questions to the ladies from Cocotherapy because they're amazing. And they've been learning from Dr. Fife for a lot of years. So Dr. Fife, thank you so much for agreeing to do this interview. It has been enlightening. I like I said, everything I know about coconut oil, I've learned from those two ladies, and now I've learned even more. Very good.
Well, it's been my pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Thanks a lot, please.
All right. And Carmina and Carissa, you guys are going to figure out who gets the books?
Oh, yes. Thanks for reminding. So we're going to pick 5 winners. We see a lot of comments. We're just going to pick them randomly, and we're going to send 5 copies of this.
Awesome. That's great.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Fife. Thanks, Dr. Morgan. Thanks for hosting. This is great. Yeah.
Oh, no problem at all. I should have asked. Dr. Fife, where are your books available? Are they on Amazon?
Yes, you can get them easily off of Amazon.
Perfect.
Judy, I'm going to send you this book.
Thank you. I may want some of his other ones, though. Keto cycling. Oh, need that.
This is a great book, too.
Great. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.